Okay. Um, Great. So, welcome to today's community breathing and tension release class. I'm Michele, and this is a 45-minute community class, and we're working on sort of a dancer warm-up series. And today I'm going to work on a few different things to breathe into the back of the body a little bit more. So we'll still start off with sort of opening things up, but then I'm going to add, instead of some standing things, I'm going to add some floor stretches where we breathe through the back, and you'll feel how that flushes down through the back of the legs as well. So we're just focusing a little bit more on the posterior chain to breathe and expand and open up a little bit more. So that's our focus. Still using breath, still using the rhythm, and sort of like getting into, touching, self massage, all that stuff. So let's come down into the comfortable position that you prefer on the floor. And of course, you can sit in a stool or a chair or on a pillow. A raised meditation pillow or something is also good. And so find a position that's comfortable with either your feet crossed or this nice relaxed diamond shape hanging out here. You want to be able to find a softness into the front of the hips and the lower back. We also want to feel a sense of a plumb line. So we want to feel that the legs can let go. We want to feel that we're plumb lining into the tail end of the spine and the pelvis from the crown. So let's just relax the arms over the legs wherever you feel comfortable. We're going to just take a moment to let our eyes close and let the breath drop all the way down through the spine into the base of the spine and into the base of the pelvis. So you just want to sort of notice any places that are a little bit holding on. Try to use your breath to just soften and release and let that trailing sort of waterfall trickling down through the back of the neck, between the scapula, the shoulder blades, and then also your lumbar spine all the way down through the tailbone. So just as a little reminder, when I refer to the tail, which I do a lot, I'm thinking of the tail starting at the very top of the sacrum, right? So it's not just that coccyx bone tippy end of the tail. It's the whole piece that just flows down through the end of the spine. So just sort of feel the weight through there and let that flow through your lumbar lower back a little bit. Your alignment might shift a little bit back, or maybe it'll shift a little bit forward. So everyone's a little bit different in how we end up. And let your shoulders glide down into that, and feel that your jaw and your chin relax back into that. And then we're just going to gently take our palms resting onto the crown of the head, and still using that same thought process. You're just using the breath, noticing all those points, feeling the release. There's a little bit more pressure now with our palms resting into the crown. Try to relax your shoulders so we have a little bit of weight trickling down into the tail end. And maybe that gives you a sense of alignment and shifting through the neck and the shoulders a little bit more. So we're just letting that attention sort of closing that chain a little bit more. And then we're just going to let the breath in, release the palms open, feeling that lightness through the crown. Coming around and taking our hands together, we're just going to take a nice gliding forward and back. Feel the breath come up into your hands, letting the breath internally start to trickle into the surface through the palms. And relax your fingers, letting them glide in between one another here. And then we're just going to separate the hands, feeling that nice energetic buzz in between our palms. And since we're focusing on expanding outward more, open that energy into the space around you. And you're going to use your palms and your breath to swirl it around, breathing and expanding, letting the breath gently expand and connect you into the space around. You're going in any direction, like a nice yawning, breathing from the inside, spreading the energy through and open to the outside, feeling that the breath expands in every direction, up above, down below through the floor, around the sides, especially behind you. Breathing through the back of the body to move and explore through the space. And then we're going to reach out through the palms, gather energy from around the room through your palms, taking that energy that you've spread around and just taking that over your eyes, sensing it. Breathing into that and just washing over the face around the eyes, letting the breath come into your face as a nice sense of release and calmness, flushing all the way through. Let's take our middle fingers and using an exhale, we're going to massage on top of the eyes into the brow bone. So we're breathing out, carving from the inside to the outside with a nice little lift up into the hairline. So we're just going to exhale, relaxing the face, letting the face release and open, letting everything soften and sort of do its job without any tension here. And then we're going to take our index finger going underneath the eyes on the bone. So going right through the orbital bone, getting a nice flush through there, breathing through that, and just tracing the line up and around into the hairline. Try also, sometimes when we're trying really hard, we tense our face. Try to just relax your face and feel a nice sense of release, like you're at a spa, right? So you're just gonna relax and sort of surrender into this opening, letting go. And then we're gonna take our fingertips into the forehead. Take a nice little vigorous scrubbing up and down, just breathing and scrubbing, moving the skin, getting into the lymph under the skin. And then coming around to the outside of the eyes, the temples, very, very light here. Taking a nice little circular motion just on the very surface of the skin there. And then continuing down in between the upper and lower jaw. So let's hang the jaw open. You can poke with your fingers. You can palpate a little bit more here. So we're just going to breathe and mush around there. Lots of tension that we hold into the jaw. So we just want to kind of let that flush through. You can explore. So it's not always the same on both sides. Maybe it's a little bit further back towards your ears than you thought. Sort of move around and see what you find. And now we're going into the scalp. So we're going to go up above the ears, just taking a nice little scrubbing, lifting motion like you're washing your hair, and just lifting up around the perimeters of our ears towards the back. So we just feel that nice sense of lifting of energy out of the ears, getting a nice release into the head, coming all the way around to the back, right into the bottom of our skull there, right? So where the spine and the head meet, right into that crevice. We're going to take a nice little lateral massage. You can rest your head a little bit back when you're finding it, but feel that your massage is expanding and opening that space. So we feel a sense of openness and sort of a tallness that comes through there. You can go a little bit wider out towards your ears, feeling that the breath travels through your fingertips where you're touching. We're going to come back and close to the spine. Now we're going down the back of the neck. We're going to take a nice circular massage. So breathe into that nice massage along the erectors, going along the sides of the spine, breathing out and just sort of mushing things around. Again, you can use a little bit more pressure here. And then working your way down the back of the neck, we're eventually reaching the tops of the shoulders. We're going to dig our fingers into the tops of the shoulders. Take a nice exhale and sweep over top. Take a nice little sweeping off, shake, release, and then go back again. You can choose a new spot here and just breathing out, letting the shoulders go and shaking off any tightness or tension. And then going back one more time and exhale and sweep and let it go. Now we're going to find that breath from all the way down and from the base of the spine. So let's take a deep breath in. Feel the breath from the base internally through your center midline, lifting you up. So you're stretching your body up from the inside. Maybe your arms are a little bit forward. Maybe your elbows are a little bit more bent. Do whatever your shoulders need, but feel the energy support you, internally lifting you up. And then take that into a nice little wiggling, yawning, breathing and shifting from the hips. We feel our sitting bones now. We free up the compression through the tail end and just getting a little bit of lift up off the floor. And then we're going to come back through center. Soften the tail end so that you hang your arms down in front. So we're in a nice sort of little curl here. We're going to let the breath lead us. We're circling through the arms. Circle around the side. Find your elbow. Breathe into the sides of the ribs. We're going to inhale up. The elbows are bent. We're moving through the shoulder blades and exhale around and down. So we have that nice extension through the tail to send us up. We're going to exhale through the side. Now here, really focus on breathing through the back of the ribs as you come down. Inhale, tail and up. Exhale over through the side and really breathe. Send your breath to expand through the back of the ribs. So your arms have to come all the way down. Sometimes we hold them a little bit up here. Let them drop so you can really feel and pull your elbows apart. If you pull your elbows apart, let's do one more on this side. We go over and forward. As you come down, pull your elbows a little bit wide so you can really feel that expansion through your back. And let them soften as you come up. Take another breath and change. Exhale and forward. Elbows, breathe through the back. Inhale, find your tail and up. And exhale over and forward around, finding that wideness through the elbows, breathing into the back and up. And exhale over and forward around. Find your elbows to free up your shoulders and widen your scapula and up. Now we find that tail plumb line energy. Breathe through your center midline, lifting your body up. Keeping that lift, you can even imagine your midline has a really bright color, right? So finding a sense of vibrantness through the internal center of your body. Using that to separate the arms, we're going to just circle through the wrists and the hands, breathing them open, but keeping that nice bright light midline, breathing in and up, and then just letting the arms gently hang at the bottom off of that, and then gently relax from there. So let's bring the feet out here. We're going to just go right away into one hand at a time. So the right foot's forward, flexing, and parallel. This other foot, the knees just, if little coupe turned out a little bit, just sort of hanging out with the opposite leg. Use your opposite hand. So it's the right leg, right arm up. Push and turn your fingers. We're going to just breathe through the front of the chest. Now we're letting the shoulder blade find a nice hang into the back of our ribs. We want to feel that we get over the tail to get enough ease in the extension of our chest, and let the arm come through and then relax and change. So now we find that tail breathing up and over. Exhale. Find the hang here. Feel that your scapula lets go. Your arm is really soft. We're letting the arm hang from the spine, essentially, connecting into the spine. Relax and change. Breath comes in. Still feel the midline opening and release and change. And again, breath brings you up. And yawning, release and change. You can start to roll through your foot, breathing through the midline and rolling through the foot to point, just sort of waking up the toes a little bit, and then through the midline up and rolling through. Now we're going to take both arms up, circling the wrists and the ankles, breathing, moving around, feeling that your fingers and toes are little tentacles, making our way all the way down to the floor. And then we're just going to relax and hang over the legs. So wherever you're comfortable, you can separate your feet more. Find that release, again, through your upper back ribs. So feel that you're not just plopping over the front of the hips here. There's a sense of lifting up and over with your breath. So you feel that internally, the breath lifts you up to find a nice hang. There's an elongation through the lumbar spine here, right? So we're just going to breathe out and just let the head go a little bit as you exhale. Just finding a little bit of that buoyancy, releasing through the head, letting go of the shoulders, breathing out. And then just hanging forward through the center. Now we're going to sway the head from side to side, Feel that the breath through the back of your body starts to expand a little bit more. So there's a sense of a diagonal release here. When our head's over one way, we can think of the opposite backside ribs, the lower ribs especially, sort of separating and breathing. Your shoulder might adjust and move a little bit here, but feel that diagonal breath come through from the sacrum, right? So we have all these sort of diagonals wrapping dynamically around through the back of the body into the core. And we just want to sort of pay attention to that as we start to open. It's not just flat. And then we're going to use the breath through the low belly. We're walking backwards on the floor, lifting up and walking back on your hips, and just dragging the legs along the floor. You can go a little bit quicker here today, getting a nice shifting movement in the sacrum. And then we're going to come forward, lifting up, coming forward, finding that connection from your lower abdomen through the dantian, and you're shifting in the hips and just kind of dropping the legs out as you go. And then we'll come back into a nice relaxed hang position. We're just going to release through the head, let the tail go. Now we want to find that long tail energy. We're going to let the breath in, but feel the tail go down through the floor as we roll up. Keep thinking of your tail like a long, heavy dinosaur tail. And if your tail feels really heavy, you can think of your tail like a little bunny rabbit tail. So it's sort of the opposite. So everybody has something different they connect with. Feel the energy through that tail drawing down or picking you up. And feel how that lightness travels into your upper body all the way up through the crown of your head. So you don't really have to hold your upper body so much. Then we're just going to relax. Let's let your tail soften under. So we're rounding the back a little bit. We're going to take our fists, nice little scoop again here. Not like a grand contraction, but we're just giving a little bit of a scoop. We're going to drum into the sacrum, breathing into it. So we're using our abdomen to kind of push the muscles out into the back of the body. So we want to feel that expansion as we're drumming, go all over the sacrum and into your glutes. So really getting a good sense of shaking things up, releasing around the bones, around the attachment points here. We're going to travel up the sides of the spine. Now here, feel that your fists are going a little bit away from the spine, out to the sides. So it's not just going up and down, like you're brushing the muscles open wider to the sides. See if you can go all the way up towards your kidneys and then back down again. And then we're going to come around into the sides of the hips and just sort of dropping down through our fists into our greater trochanters. So this is sort of close to the back sides of the hips where the hip socket inserts laterally. So our femur bones come in through these sides here, and we just want to kind of loosen anything that's holding on there. And now we're going to alternate from the back of the hip. So we're going to go from the back and around. One side, the other side. Use your breath through your palm, flushing any tension or tightness all the way down and out through the toes, and sort of moving around. So maybe you go a little bit higher, a little bit middle, a little bit lower, whatever feels good there. And then we're going to take our palms open, still kind of floppy. Use the heels of the hands to fluff around the sides of the legs. So get a really nice scooping, shaking motion here. We want the muscles to really shake around off the bones. We're unsticking things, letting things sort of wake up deeper internally, but letting go of that external tension or tightness or fuzziness we feel. So we want to sort of be more clear with what we're wanting our body to do, right? So we want it to just let go of what we don't need and try to find that new energy internally. And then coming down right up above your knees, you're at the attachment zone of your quads into your knees. We're just going to fluff all around. You can go right on top of your knees if that feels good for you. So we're just sort of getting around that point above the knees and into the knees, getting any sort of congestion sorted out here, getting some movement, some breath, some fluid to move through there. And then we're going to take our fingertips tapping right into the kneecap. So right on top of the bones, feeling that tapping vibration through the patella into the joint, letting that stimulate our nerves, which can actually send some more fluid there without doing anything. And then we're going to tap down the shin bones and feeling. Of course, you're going to feel your shins. It's the closest to the surface. And we're going to go all the way down to our ankles, tapping, feeling that vibration, waking up the lower legs, coming back up the shins again, breathing into it, trying to hold your breath. And now we're going to lean back a little, use the heels of your hands again. Now we're going right through the entire length of our quadriceps, from the hips all the way down to the knees. And you can give a really good massage here. You can really get in there, relax the tissue and flush into and along your femur bones, going a little bit on the inside, a little bit on the outside, and just getting a really good sense of where you feel like you're holding on. Maybe you feel it more in one leg than the other. You're assessing your own body, right? So sometimes you don't need someone else to tell you. You can figure it out on your own if you get to know yourself. And now we're going to lean back a little bit. So when we lean back, bring your fingertips to the crease in your hips here. Lean a little bit back until you feel a slight engagement there. This is our hip flexors. We're going to just drop the heels of the hands down into the hip flexors a bit and just sort of let that release with them slightly engaged. And then we'll come forward and just flush down through the quads one more time. And then we'll travel that down to the lower legs on the outside. Again, that floppy hand fluffing upwards around the outside of the shins here. So feeling that we're on the peroneals around the outside of the shin bone, outside of the calves, and just letting that release come through. So these guys do not get they're just major stabilizers. So we want to make sure that it's not holding on there. That can affect our knees and our ankles and so forth. So we're just kind of releasing, loosening things up. And then we're going to bring our feet back in. This is whatever's comfortable for you. We want to bring them in and relax the knees out to the sides. We're going to use the tops of the hands. You're kind of leaning back a little, and we're going along the inner thigh line. So now from our hip sockets, taking a downward flushing motion, releasing any tension and tightness along these adductors. We're going to flush down that line all along the inner thigh towards your knees, feeling that we just sort of release and let go of anything holding, and then flexing through your heels a little bit to slightly engage the calves. We're going to use our fists. Let's start off small, just breathing out, dropping into your calves. So your hands are dropping into, or your fists are dropping into the inside of your calf muscles here. And we're just letting that nice little shaking going on. So there's a little lateral shake that happens, letting your breath go through that. If you feel comfortable, we can take a bigger drop and let go. So you take sort of a bigger release in your breath with that. So obviously there's more force and weight with that, whatever feels good for you. Now focus down a little bit lower into the lower calf, the soleus, and your Achilles tendon. Go right below that. So we just want to kind of pat down that line as much as you can. And then we're going to take our hands back behind, take a nice shake out through the legs. Just give a good release, lengthening through the backs of the legs behind the knees, and just wiggle your tail a little bit, releasing through the tail end and the back. And then we'll take the right knee up. We're going to inhale. We start a nice exhale, a little bit of a coiling through the low belly. Exhale, gather, let the leg go. So don't try to push your knee down into the floor. It's an elongation. It's a release from the hip socket, from the tail. Exhale, release, and up. Gather the breath. And again. So we feel a little bit of a connection through our center so that we can let the leg go. So if we just let the leg go without any connection, there's no contrast. Maybe we're going to pull into our back or pull into our hip. We're going to sort of, jolt or pull something that we don't want to. You have to have a balance of that internal force and external force working. And then just letting the legs hang out, relaxing them. And we're just going to take nice little taps in and out, letting the tips of the toes, relax your hips here, and just feel that nice movement inside the hip sockets, just kind of flopping around, letting the muscles go. Let's take our feet in now, and we're just going to take some nice ankle circles, just rolling around, breathing through the feet, relaxing the feet into the floor, and softening all the way down. We're going to take a nice massage into the inside heel underneath the ankle bones. all of these little tendons and ligaments, you can poke a little bit more, you can palpate. So you're gonna just sort of poke around there, breathing and mushing. Think of how important this area is for your alignment in standing and walking, right? So a lot of us roll in or roll out and sort of, that's one of the things a physical therapist will first look at to see what's going on with you. So we want to make sure that there's some energetic alignment going on here. So we feel that this area through this whole internal adductor line is awake. And then we're going to travel underneath the soles of the feet. So maybe using your thumbs, we're just going to take a nice mushy massage from your heels, going all the way up into the balls of your feet. And we just want to kind of move around and flush through, getting a nice release and sort of discovering, where you need to go. You can explore, of course. Try to keep your feet as relaxed as you can while you're finding this, especially maybe under the big toe, the ball of your big toe joint, getting under there. So we're sort of paying attention maybe to that plantar fascia line. And then going underneath the balls of your feet, we're going to take our fingertips and spread the toes wide, getting a nice space between the toes, little froggy feet here. And then just breathing into that space between the toes, letting your feet relax and taking the hands out, taking the hands back behind. Now we're going to connect through the midline of our body. Feel the energy, collect the legs in to squeeze. So when you're squeezing your legs, try not to just think of your inner thighs here. The outside of the hips, feel that the trochanters, the sits bones, gather to squeeze your legs. It's a dynamic effort. We're going to take a nice little walk, squeezing, and exhale, rolling through the feet, reaching out through the toes, picking that sand up and throwing it away. We're going to exhale, connect, feel a sensation of connection from your center in your abdomen all the way down through the tippy toes. So we want to sort of start everything to coordinate through the center. So using that midline energy to really feel that we're sorting things out it's sort of a visceral way to sort many things out, right? Instead of dealing acute with everything. So now let's go over and we're going to walk back because we are not many pieces. We are one piece constructed of many pieces, and roll back. So now we're going up and over. We have that nice little even dome on the tops of the feet. Drag back. Relax in your arches, especially if you have high arches. Feel that your arches melt into the floor. And now we're going to come forward again. Breathe through the arches melting and expanding, and then find your toes. So you can feel that your toes have a little bit more life because there isn't as much tension into, the torso of the foot. The spine of the foot is letting go a little bit more. And then we're just going to relax, shake the legs out. Bring the legs back into your seated position that's comfortable for you. Find your sits bones and tail. We're going to lift up nice and tall, take a nice massage. Now we feel the chest expand like a balloon, like a hot air balloon. We're going to inhale, expand up. And exhale, release. And again, letting the breath in. And letting it go, getting a nice flush all throughout the lymph here, and then flushing down all the way through the lymph into the front of the hips, into the, the front hip groin area here, and then coming up into the center of your chest and just breathing out, taking a nice little scrubbing up and down, letting go of any tension that you feel there, and then stroking down through the center. So we're sweeping through that midline down into the pelvis. We're going to come around underneath the sides of the ribs, breathing and sweeping through that side and coming up underneath the other side, just getting things to wake up and unstick a little. And then we'll come back through center, relax the shoulders, relax the arms, and just feel that nice sense of letting go. We're going to use one palm, exhale, drop up and over the shoulder, and exhale, change. So think of the shoulder that you're tapping. So you're breathing into that shoulder to let go, and your head just kind of gently veers off to the side. So don't feel that you have to move your head really big. And just feel that your breath bounces through the palm. And you're not trying to hit yourself, you're just patting yourself up and over the back, feeling that the breath travels through the palm into your upper back ribs, right? So our lungs are all the way up back there. We want to feel a sense of breath into the upper back, expanding. Now relaxing back through center, let the tail release. Now we're going to gather that internal midline breath again. We're going to let the breath in, gather from the inside to lift yourself up, taking a big inhale to lift up. We're going to keep that lift as we exhale, let the arms go, just throwing them down and out. Soften through the tail, gather again. Feel the tail draw down as you breathe up internally. And letting it go. One last time, softening the tail. Breath comes in. Lifting up, feeling that floating up out of your seat, and let go. Now we're going to shake it all out. Relaxing through the shoulders, the elbows, the wrist. Now, focus on the breath coming from the back of your body, breathing from the back of the ribs, coming all the way down into the fingertips and the palms, and just sort of really letting go and feel, again, focus that your breath is getting into those upper back ribs and lungs, right? So we really want to find a sense of awareness all the way up there. And once you have that nice fuzzy feeling, we're going to come in and take each finger, just sort of breathing, feel that your shoulders relax and you're hanging your arms kind of at your heart level here. Breathing out. Now we feel that sense of expansion from the breath to float the arms open. So don't feel you have to go around and back, right? So it's like an expansion floating up and letting go. Next finger. Feel that the breath is your impetus for floating open. And again, finding the breath inside. So maybe you didn't know you had this breath. And again, breathing through each finger, each meridian is a new opening, coming all the way up into your neck, into your head, into your spine. Other hand, we're going through to open and let go. You can think of this breath coming from your pelvis. That's also a really good one. So the breath from the pelvis opens the arms. And again, wiggling that free. Breath from the pelvis. And again, finding that sense of expansion out from the connection. And again. And just relaxing, interlacing the fingers, and we're just going to kind of mush around, squeezing and letting go. You can shear the heels of your hands a little bit forward and back here, getting that sense of awareness and space between the fingers. Relax through the wrists and just breathe out, gliding around, taking a nice little figure 8 massage here. Try to let go with your breath to find your momentum if it doesn't feel like it's letting go. So we're just going to let the shoulders go, let the breath go, and just sort of let the wrist fly and unravel. And then we're going to try to reverse that. We want to find that same freedom and breath release in the opposite direction, letting that openness and freeness come through, moving around. And then just gently letting go. We're going to just open and close, breathing through the palms and the fingertips. Now we're going to take a squeezing breath, kind of similar to what we're doing with our hands here, from the dantian, from the base of our spine and pelvis, using our breath. So we're going to let the breath in. Again, that balloon sensation. We expand from the pelvis to open the body through and up. Lifting up, opening wide. We're going to exhale, squeeze through the fingertips, the toes, the eyes. We're scooping through that dantian and squeezing out through the breath, letting go of the breath as much as you can. We're exhaling, 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 letting go of anything negative, pushing it out of the body through the breath until you don't have any more breath left. As you inhale, feel the expansion of the breath floating your body open. We're going to again exhale, squeeze, fingertips, toes, eyes, all of your distal points are compressing through the exhale, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. You're cleansing through the nerve lines, making space for new energy to come in. Letting the breath expand and float you up. And one more time, long exhale. Letting the breath float you open. On this last one, we're going to take the exhale, but this time we're gathering light new energy through the fingertips and toes, using the breath to draw that new energy into our center, enveloping it, feeling that sense of collection but openness. Letting the breath in, we're just going to float up and just flick off anything that was sort of holding on there. Taking our hands, we're going to interlace to the back of the head. So now from here, feeling that your head, we're right at the bottom of the skull there, right? So letting your head rest into your hands. If you're higher, you're going to feel that there's more tension. So hold your head like you would hold a baby from the bottom of the head, right? So you don't want your head to sort of tilt back this way. You want to feel that you can really relax your head into your hands. So you can just sort of close your eyes and breathe into that. That same plumb line energy that we found in the beginning, feel that energy through the whole back of your body coming through with your breath. Feel that you're balancing with gravity, right? So you're using gravity from your crown to your tail and just sort of letting things sort out in between. You might feel some movement. You might sort of wiggle around here. We want to let your body unravel and do what it needs to do. So whatever you're doing is fine. You don't have to try and control it or change it. But just sort of rest into it. We're going to let that breath come through and open, sweep the palms up, let it come out and open through the crown, around and down. So now we're just going to use that breath, focusing from the back through the eyes in the front. So we're going to just use the eyes to look around the room, scanning the room, looking over to the side. Now, when we change directions, find a sense of that awareness through the back of the body. The back of the body comes through your eyes as you look around all the way through to the other side. There's a sense of your breath letting go as it comes through the back, through the eyes, and all the way around. Sometimes there's a nice feeling of your eyes coming from the back of your head. So feel that your eyes scan the room it's like they rest from the back of your head. And it gives you a different relation with your eyes when you're looking. It may be more relaxing. We want to find that nice release quality in alignment. And then using the breath to scan back through center. Now we're going to take a deep breath and draw the breath up from the base of the spine and pelvis. We're going to inhale and hold the breath as we lift it up. Squeezing the eyes shut, compressing it a little as we lift it up. And as we exhale, gently open the eyes. You can blink a little bit and just take little sweeps, opening any sort of energetic cobwebs that are left around this area. And then nice little taps all around the skull. Breathing out and just feeling that nice sense of vibration all around the head with a nice little sweeping up through the back of the neck and the head here. And if you feel comfortable, you can go slow or you can release with momentum. Feel the breath through the back of the body. We're going to look side to side and let go of your jaw and chin. Feel the length come through as you just let the breath go to do a little twirling through the top. And gently letting that slow down to release. So now we're going to come around with our feet out. We're not coming onto hands and knees quite yet. So we're going to flex through the heels with the feet out. We want to find our sits bones nice and wide. In this position, we want to feel that we can get up over top of our sits bones, which may take some effort, right? So sometimes you feel like with your legs stretched out, you're stuck back here a little bit. If you bend your knees and dig your heels down, like you're pulling the floor a little bit towards you through, it's not even your heels, it's like your Achilles. So you're breathing through the back of the ankles to lift your body up over the sits bones here. Now, we want to find that sensation as the breath comes in. So we're going to relax the legs and point. Reach through the tops of the toes. When we inhale, flex, let the arms flow around and up. We're going to lift up as much as we can. We take a nice little curl over to the side. We're going to bend one knee and cross the palm. This other hand's going back behind me. Now we find that long tail energy. Feel your sits bones shift, gliding forward and back. Breathe through the tail and just look up and around your shoulder here. It's the elongation of your spine that brings the spiral in. It's not the torquing, right? So we're not pushing that chest. We're freeing up the length of the tail to open the chest. Now from here, we're going to flex this front foot. Take your back palm, breathing up and open. So now we're on a diagonal. The opposite hand comes over to the outside of the foot. This other hand's on my shin bone. We're going to take a curl, exhale. Now really, we're going to push this leg down and out as we breathe through the upper back ribs to free up the tail. We're making space in the hip and the low back. Now we go down into the thigh. Let your knee soften so that you can articulate through the tail. Let that knee bend as much as you need to. Now feel the tail end of your spine gliding backwards. Your chest is on your thigh if you're not trying to make it go there, but just breathe through that tail, allowing your chest to drop down. You're snaking your chest through the shoulders and finding the energy of your tail. And if you feel like you can, take a nice little stretch of that leg and relax. Now we're going to change to the other side. So now from here, take both feet out. Inhale, lifting up. Bending your knees to lift. We take a nice little softened curl over to the side. So I'm going to bend one knee, flex the other, open this palm, use the other hand behind you. And now we take that shifting in our sits bones. If you find the tail drawing down, you'll just feel that the spine rotates like a very even spiral coming through and up, right? So we have the shifting in our hips allows the rotation all the way up through the crown. Now we soften this bent knee, let your heel flex, turning it out. And we're going to take this back arm, the diagonal back arm lifting up. We go over to the outside of the other foot. You can bend your knee to take your foot if you need. This other hand goes right onto my shin. We're going to exhale, pushing down and out, back through the center. Breathe in and up through the upper back ribs. Let your chest draw down, releasing towards your thigh as you find your tail. We're arching back through the tail. Let your knee soften to find the tail energy. Drawing your tail back to lift your chest up. And if you feel like there's enough space there, you can stretch through this bottom leg and just release. Now, since we kind of know what we're doing, we're going to bring both feet out and just go a little bit more fluidly with this. So we're going to inhale, breathing up. Feel your arms come from your pelvis up. And we exhale, curl. Letting the breath in. We're going to let the breath in to elongate. You can use a nice exhale, shifting and opening the chest to turn back. Find your tail, release this leg, opposite arm comes up. To go over to the outside of the foot. Take a nice exhale, pushing down and out. We're going to take a deep breath and lift through the upper back ribs. And draw down into your thigh. Find that nice long tail. Inhale, coming through and up. Stretching the bottom leg and release. Both legs go out. Inhale, breathing through and up. We take a nice little soft curl over, bending this knee, flexing this other foot, gliding in the hips. Find that long tail to open in your chest. Releasing this bent knee open. Your opposite back arm comes up. We go over to the outside of the foot. This other hand comes to your shin, go straight back in and back and up through the center. Breathe into your upper back ribs. Release your chest down into your thigh, softening in the knee, and find that long tail gliding back to lift your chest through and up. And keep breathing through the tail as you stretch through that bottom leg. And release. Now from here, we're going to take both feet out, keeping the both feet out, bending the knees, finding the breath again. Sorry, my phone just did something. I don't know if there we go. So my phone, I don't know how it reads, but if the battery alert goes off, we're going to have a little pause. So we're going to lift up. Now we go over the sits bones. We want to take hold of the tops of the feet here. You might need to keep your knees bent. You want to find your sits bones. Keep your knees bent as you breathe in and back and up. Now, you can stretch your knees, but you're probably going to go right into your low back. We're getting into the upper back ribs, right? So the upper abdomen breathes in and back and up. When you open your upper back, you will feel your lower back release longer. And that's what we're trying to look for. We're lifting the compression out of the low back. Now from here, soften the legs and keep your knees soft. Slip your hands to the outsides of your feet. Now we find that long tail articulating, gliding back. We're going to just look forward with our eyes. Let your scapula, your shoulder blades glide down your back and feel that tail energy. Lift your chest through and up. If you feel like you can stretch your legs at the end. And then we find that long tail to lift and float the arms up. Lifting over the tail and sits bones, we're going to turn out through the arms and legs, pointing the toes. Fingertips come behind us, pointing away. Take a nice long exhale. Find your long tail. Again, lift your chest out of your pelvis. Try not to just rest into your shoulders and hang back. The energy of your chest is lifting you up over that tail to open the chest. Your shoulders are just going to sort of round and caress around the back of your ribs here, right? Like a nice sort of heart shape. You feel almost like you could lift off the floor here. And then we're just going to relax and come around. Now from here, we're going to come around onto our hands and knees. Taking our feet around, coming up onto hands and knees here. And we're just going to find that sense of breath. It's the same in this position, breathing into our back body. So when you take your arch and curl, feel that the breath through your upper abdomen lifts through your upper back ribs. Use the idea of releasing your lower back by lifting the weight out of your pelvis with your intention and your connections there. So we're going to feel a plumb line. Feel a little touch with your heels to keep the midline energy down there. Find the breath in and up through the upper abdomen first, and we lift. It's like you can lift through your hips a little bit here too. Feel that sense of breath through the back of the body expanding. Feel that your breath is expanding from each little vertebrae wide out to the sides. You're going to let your head come in to look at your abdomen and just deepen this by pushing into the floor a little bit with your palms curling back. Now, as we come through extension, feel the breath through the abdomen. The midline lifts up to the ceiling. So your abdomen lifting is what it articulates the length in your spine. We support from the front up to the ceiling. We unravel through the tail. Let the eyes come forward. Now, we lift heels, tuck toes under. Keep your heels touching a little bit. Now feel that your sacrum, your shoulder blades draw down into your sacrum. We're going to bend the elbows and exhale, looking up. Now we come forward. Inhale, the breath lifts you. We exhale and curl. So we feel that sense of expansion. You're lifting through your pelvis. You're lifting through your chest. Breath comes in and up. You're lifting through the hips, lifting through your chest. So you're not compressing into your wrists and your knees, and keeping that feeling of lift and feel the shoulder blades draw down into your sacrum. We'll come forward one more time. Breath in and exhale to find that expansion, opening from the spine. Breath comes in and up, lifting out of the hips, lifting out of the shoulders, and then you'll just feel that your heels lift up and tuck your toes under, and exhale. Feel the shoulder blades draw down into your sacrum. Now we're going to come up through the curl one more time. Lift through the hips, lift through the shoulders, and breathe into that nice long curl. Use this to bring your hands back towards your knees. We're going to tuck the toes under and push back into a nice little kind of hanging squat here. So your knees can separate a little bit. Your heels can stay close or your heels can separate a little, whatever feels good. Hanging your arms over your legs and just sort of shifting your body weight over your heels, moving a little bit to let that massage come through the soles of the feet. And again, drop your tail, drop your head to feel the breath through the back of the body. Now we're going to take our hands really close to the toes, taking a deep breath. We're going to exhale and lift your tail, stretching the legs, shaking the legs out. And then just sort of bending your right knee, but hanging over the right knee in your body and shifting on into your straight leg hip. So I'm shifting down into the straight leg. And if you just focus on shifting into that straight leg down through the heel, you'll feel that you start to sort of hang over easier on the other side. You don't even have to think about the hang. The breath comes through. And shift your hip and hang. You can do a little breath scoop through the abdomen to curl if you feel like it's there. Breathing and curling. Your head can curl in and up a little bit. And shift. And the breath curls your head. Your head doesn't go before your breath. And shift. And the breath curls your head. And shift. And the breath curls your head. Now we come back to center. We're going to take a nice hang here. Hold on to your elbows. Relax. Feel that plumb line of your tail over your heels, releasing through the upper back, neck, and ribs. Now we really want to breathe through the back of the body on our way up. We're going to find the breath. Inhale. As the breath comes in, we lift through the upper abdomen. So we lift really where our stomach is, lifting up to the ceiling. We feel the upper back ribs start to expand. Let go of your arms. Now feel that your breath inside is really articulating and expanding through the spine, lifting up out of your pelvis. And you keep that feeling. Even as you get almost all the way up, we keep that feeling of lift and lift and lift. Try not to let the weight drop into your feet. Keep that feeling of internally lifting through and up, and just let that natural, gentle stacking come through with the internal lift until you feel a plumb line. When you feel your plumb line, just let your body sort of hang into that. Let the breath release through the back body, and we're just going to roll through the shoulders here. Let the knees soften. Inhale up. And exhale around, little softening. Inhale up. And exhale, release. Inhale up. And exhale around. One more time up. And around. And just shake it out. Feeling that gravity. And just let the walk come through. Feel that tail energy traveling down through the floor here. And just sort of letting yourself come back into a place. So, I mean, that was a tiny, tiny little, demonstration of how we can focus on breathing into our backs. I think next week I'll add another little sampling of the hip stuff. So we'll do sort of like some hip rotation and maybe the frog and the bridges on the floor. So I think we'll sort of move around to these little components, and maybe one day we'll have a full class, probably not in 45 minutes, but that'll be a different elevation. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. And I'm just going to keep going. So, same time, same place next Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time. If anybody has any questions or comments or special requests, please let me know and keep enjoying your summer while it lasts. Before we know it, we'll be into complaining about cold weather, maybe. All right. Thank you so much.